you told me something before we started that kind of stuck with me. You said, my work is organized, but nothing else is. What does that look like in your day-to-day life right now?
I would say going from a research background to now school and teaching and having to kind of go with the flow, depending on what you can get through each day, it's kind of shifted my priorities.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm organized with my work, knowing kind of roughly what I need to get into. But everything else, I would say, has not been super on top of it organized. I will say, Meredith, I made plans with my good friend Meredith 3 times, completely forgot. She kept texting me, and I would be like, oh, I already made plans another time. So, um,
Damn.
yeah, I would say it's definitely changed. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's more relaxed, I would say, which I enjoy.
You enjoy, because when I think of you, I feel like you always like a bunch of stuff going on at the same time, but you actually prefer more relaxed.
Yeah, and I think living with John has really helped with that too. He's definitely more go with the flow,
Mm-hmm.
um, and kind of realizing like maybe I was taking life too seriously. I don't know. Yeah. So I have like my priorities of like obviously doing well at work, um, being engaged there, and working out are like my two tops, and then like also relationships, right? Those are important. But other than that, you can, I don't know. I try to not kind of go into like the bullshit that might not be as important, and if it's not directly related to my goals and that type of
Yeah.
stuff. So,
Yeah. And I mean, you've had a lot going on this past year, past couple years. Ever since we graduated college, you've
yeah.
had quite the quite the roll forward of things going on. Has there been a moment where you've kind of stopped and said, kind of, oh man, this is adult life right now. This is going on for real.
I would say so like leaving Wheaton is kind of a shell shock. I moved down to Baltimore, loved it. Um, it was a great experience. Highly recommend like leaving your hometown or leaving your home state. I think it builds like really good character, just kind of like having to figure shit out on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But going down there kind of hit me. I was like, oh, kind of doing it on my own type thing, and like I'm not just going to a dining hall where my food is already prepared for me. um,
Mm-hmm.
so that was kind of a good transition, and then I was looking for a job after my master's program, and that's when I was like, oh shoot, like jobs, and trying to figure that out and navigate it. And then when I really moved into our house, that's when it was like, oh, I got my own place. Like, no one's checking up on us. Like,
Mm.
it's kind of like our sanctuary, right? Like, no, like if you don't want people to come over, they don't have to come over. Or you kind of like get into your routine and your own schedule, which is kind of
Yeah.
crazy. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and we'll touch on all those things that you mentioned, but I do want to get into your master's program and kind of the transition going into that, and what was making you further pursue education, going on getting your master's in hold on, let me get this right. Marine biology and oceanology, correct?
No, marine
What?
biotechnology. Marine biotechnology.
Your LinkedIn is wrong.
Really?
I literally I wrote that down from your LinkedIn.
Well, no. So my master's is in marine biotechnology, from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County.
Okay.
But at the time leaving Wheaton, I was like, I knew I needed a master's to get a higher paying job and to open up more doors for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, I didn't want to stop because I knew if I stopped and took a year off, I knew
Yeah.
I would get too comfortable, right? I'd move into the house with John and I would want to just kind of stay here and stay comfortable. And I wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone. And I really enjoyed my master's. I learned a lot. It really did expand kind of what I wanted to go into. And at the time, I thought I would want to go into research. I'm not closed off to that, but right now I'm really enjoying teaching. So, yeah, I don't know.
What made you transition that mindset going from research now to something else?
Yeah, I would say at the end of my master's, I was doing a lot of writing because at least I was doing a research master's. So how that works is I was getting paid to conduct my research to the end goal, getting my research published and getting my degree. And at the time that I started to apply for jobs, the federal cuts started to happen. So the jobs that were there in aquaculture, specifically like oysters and clams, or just like any type of oceanography, was Phyllis wanted to make an appearance. They just weren't there. So I had always loved working with kids. I took a few child development classes at Wheaton. And I nannied, babysat, did the whole 9 yards, and was like, why don't I try it? I mean, worst case scenario, I don't like it, right? But it's some experience. So that's kind of where the transition came in. It was more of like there wasn't opportunities, and I knew I enjoyed kids, and high school was kind of where I fell in love with science. So, yeah.
Yeah, tying it back to that, that's good. And was there anything that kind of surprised you about your master's program? Either surprised you about yourself or just the way you think about things or go about research?
I think there's a lot of learning curves when it comes to specifically research. It doesn't have to be a master's, because you can work in a research lab and not be getting a degree. I would say the biggest thing is you're going to come across a lot of different people, just like in any job, but specifically research. Your work can be highly criticized, and you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. And with that, learning that your connection of people that support you and your mentors is really important. Because when you do get high criticism or an issue, right, you're going to get down on yourself. But having those mentors and being like, I did 10 times worse, that type of thing. And it was really just like a learning experience in general. Just like learning to push through challenging times. There were some really low points when it came to my master's, but the high points kind of made up for it. And yeah.
Our friend Chris, or pal Chris, he was on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and he told me that as he experiences his master's program, that the master's program is really designed to teach you how to learn. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say a lot of the times, for most advisors, it really depends on your type of mentor. But a lot of the times, at least for my mentor, she was great. She'd be like, okay, figure this out. And if you can't figure this out, then come to me. Come to me in a week. Or she'd be like, don't spend longer than X amount of time trying to figure this out. Coming up with questions was probably the hardest part, right? Specifically for my master's, I had funding where I could come up with my own questions. So I had to dive straight into the research and read all these literature papers and being like, okay, what do I want to ask? What hasn't been asked? What would be like pertinent to like the current day and what people are trying to do in aquaculture? So yeah, I would say like it challenges you in a way that is great because it makes you think kind of out of the box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever have those, because I'm thinking sometimes you get an assignment to come up with questions, right? And I remember things in high school, like the first day of physics was you have this tube and you come up with 100 questions on that. And sometimes putting that pressure of I have to come up with questions gets tough, and that gets restrictive and gets really hard to do when you're trying to think about how you're going to analyze this. Are there any ways that you were able to get over kind of the hump of thinking about these kinds of questions, look at things from a different light, go from, outside of the box like you were talking about? What were effective ways that you were able to manage that?
Yeah, so I think I still have the document actually, but what I came up with was I wanted to do something in the Chesapeake Bay, right? It was easily accessible as a research field. So I came up with few things that I was interested in. It was like clams, it was different bivalves, mussels, horseshoe crabs, catfish, that type of thing. And I was like, okay, I read probably 10 papers, not fully, but like abstracts, and kind of saw what they were doing most recently in the Chesapeake Bay, and came up with questions on those. And from there, I was like, okay, what is feasible? With like the amount of money I have, the amount of time. I only wanted to be in my master's for 2 years. Most people are in it for 3. So like what's feasible? Went to the drawing board with my mentor and kind of talked through those ideas. And then I went to some community engagement activities, asked them some questions, being like, what would you most like to see in the Chesapeake Bay? And at the end of the day, it really helped. So trying not to just restrict myself to one species. I was most comfortable with striped bass going into it, but not restricting myself, and then asking for help. I think that's the other thing, asking for help, and then just like getting others' opinions is a huge part of it.
Do you feel like people our age tend to not want to ask for help? And why is that? Because I know I see it all the time. I want to get, your take on that. But I feel like there is this culture of if you don't have the answer, then you got to figure it out yourself. And if you don't, then there's something that's inherently wrong with asking for help or reaching out when you're struggling.
Yeah, I think I viewed that kind of as a weakness for the longest time. But my master's taught me that it's okay to ask for help. And it's actually not a sign of weakness. It's like, if you go with a well-prepared question, right? I have this question, I've done this amount of research, or this is what I know, but I can't figure this out. At the end of the day, like, not everyone knows, right? Especially like bringing that into teaching, right? I don't have a teaching background. I just have a love for science. I like really enjoy working with kids, and really leaning on other teachers and being like, how would you deal with this? Like, I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
They weren't an expert when they started. So I think we got to get out of that mindset, just because interacting with people one-on-one and just like communicating, I think we've kind of lost that, especially through technology, just like not wanting to ask questions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's always I feel like the biggest things are, we always feel like we're bothering somebody. We always feel like the question isn't worthy of being asked. But I always say to that is, it's always worth it. If you're not understanding it, I mean, you'd rather just ask that question. I always say there are such things as dumb questions, but you just got to be smart enough to ask them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that people try to go, especially so earlier on, like, you don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to pretend like you do. You don't have to pretend like you have an answer. Just look for the resources where you can find that help. Ask the right questions. Go ahead. If something doesn't make sense, expand out your path.
Exactly.
So that's a great point that you're making, and you don't need a master's to figure that out, but I'm sure it becomes easier to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, just kind of like leaning on each other. I don't know. No one's really an expert on things, and having that like open door policy too really helps. right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be your mentor, whether it be, I don't know, some coworker that's been there for a year longer than you.
Mm-hmm.
Just like someone that can help you, right?
Yeah, I know. I always personally like talking to people that are not quite, the seasoned 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds that are really kind of at the more tail end of their career or probably later third of their career, but the people that are really just the next step above me. So, I mean, 28 to 32, like that age range, or 27, whatever that is, and just kind of see what's the next step and how do they go through it, because their memories are still fresh of when they're our age, right?
Yeah.
So I think having those types of people who seem almost so much older than us at times, but in reality, it's just a few years ago where they were going through the same exact stuff. Um, can I ask you a question when it comes to? First of all, I gotta correct this now. Marine biotechnology.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you a question. Maybe this can still be applicable to your knowledge. Um, are giant squids real?
Supposedly they are. I mean, I have no proof that they aren't real. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I don't know personally. I've never been down deep sea. But I could put you into contact with some people that
Yeah.
maybe they've seen one.
Well, yeah. It's kind of kept me up at night for quite a while.
You know
I
what
mean,
keeps
just
me up at night? The
no.
fact
What?
that I learned that the least sold fruit is single bananas. And I cried my eyes out. And yesterday I went to the grocery store and I bought all the single bananas.
Wow.
So now we just have like 8 single bananas.
Look at you doing God's work.
So that's what keeps me up at night. It's the real problems in
Wow.
this
Do you
world.
think? Do you think? Hold on. This single banana theory right here. Do you feel like this kind of articulates who you are as a person? I mean, you're looking out for the ones left behind. Is that
Yeah.
who Hannah is?
Yeah. I mean, I would say it brings kind of back to like my teaching and just kind of like wanting everyone to feel included and
Mm-hmm.
kind of like there's the pod, right? And then you have some stragglers and you want to like bring them up, right? Um, and yeah, I don't know, single banana is just kind of sad. Like they don't have anybody. So, like in my classroom, I'm like, if you need someone to talk to, right, you can always come to me. And these bananas needed a house to be eaten. So,
You gotta, yeah, they gotta fulfill their destiny.
exactly. Exactly.
You know. Um, well, you're. I don't know if you're totally joking or not, but I mean, you're touching on some things that you want to be there for your students. You want to create a sense of togetherness and be able to have somebody. Was that something that you kind of felt when you were in high school on the other end, like that maybe, I don't know, you don't have to be specific about what your internal struggles were in high school, but were there things that you said, I dealt with this in high school, I felt this, I'm going to bring this into my teaching style so that I can address this specifically?
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of times in high school, like when I look back, I was kind of like in the athletic squad, but I was also in music and I kind of like I was
Wait, what?
I was in chorus. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't know this.
I had a beautiful
I
voice.
didn't know that.
Yeah. I was in chorus. I was in
Wow.
like recycling club. I was in school. What is it? I was like school secretary. So like I had my hands in a variety of different things.
Mm.
And with that, you see a lot. You're not just like hanging out with athletes, right? It's not like you're in that one clique. Um, and I think I saw how some people treated the people that weren't athletes, and that didn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
So I think kind of bringing everybody together in the classroom. But I also had really close connections with a lot of my teachers, where you could joke around, but you knew that they were also serious and they wanted you to learn and they wanted you to succeed. And I think I kind of brought that in. Because at the end of the day, like, I want all my students to have a good experience in the classroom.
Yeah.
So.
How do you manage the students that aren't so enthusiastic about the topics that you're going over? Because I feel like the students that are there and happy to be there and excited and kind of see this path, they're easier to deal with, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But the ones might feel that they're being left behind, but they also don't really choose to want to stay with the pack.
Yeah, so one thing I definitely try to do, specifically at the beginning of the school year, I really try to let them in to know me a little bit more. Like, they know about my two cats. Like, one of the bonus questions on my test was like, what's my gray cat's name? And like, what's my favorite color? They know my favorite color is pink. And like, I was like, all my stuff is pink. Like, some of them got it wrong. They were like black. And I was like, what makes you think I'm like in a pink dress? Like, purposely wore a pink dress. Like, I correct their papers in pink. And so just like kind of like trying to connect with them.
Yeah.
Specifically when you have a student that seems like maybe they're having an off day, or I feel like I hadn't connected with them yet, I'd be like, oh, like, do you have any siblings? Or if they didn't have any siblings, I'd be like, oh, do you have a pet? And you kind of like learn what they're willing to talk about and like what they want to talk about, and you can connect to them on kind of a human level. And once you have that connectedness, they like kind of see you as a person rather than like, oh, I'm just like taking notes today. Another way is like I try to do hands-on things. Like this week we're doing an egg lab to learn about oh my gosh, I can't even say it. Diffusion, like cell diffusion.
Osmosis?
Osmosis, yeah. I've been having such a hard time because I've had to say it so many times recently. So yeah, we'll be doing that. Like they really enjoy the labs that we've been doing. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's a good point from your perspective. And I can imagine as the student, sometimes when you're not, and it's not the easiest subject for you, or it's just something's not coming easy, you want to feel at least seen and showing that you're trying. And if you as the teacher are able to present that you're seeing them, you're acknowledging their work that they're putting in, and you still want to treat them beyond, who they are on the attendance sheet or on the grade, report cards. I think that's a big step. And you're right, letting those students into your life a little bit, getting into their life a little bit, that creates that special connection.
Yeah.
Has there been able to be things that you've learned about yourself from being on this side of the classroom after spending so much time in school?
That's a good question. I specifically just remember being like such an anxious person when I was in high school and even undergrad, just like concerned about social aspects and like, do people like me, or my academics, like stuff like that. And I see my students and some of them like that interpersonal, like they're having connections with other people. And they're like really stressed, and you can kind of tell and you can see it.
Yeah,
And
you get a sense of that.
exactly. And I always tell them, I'm like, this is just a moment in time. Like, I think the biggest thing for me was like kind of stepping back and being like, oh, I was worrying about such little things back then. And I try to explain to them, I'm like, this is just like a day that's off, or this is just a test, that type of thing. That maybe you didn't do well on. So I've been really trying to take that in and being like, don't stress the small stuff, because there's going to be bigger things to worry about later, right?
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing that I've kind of taken away and been on this side of things, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that is nice. That is cool, because I think we all I've had my visions of what it would be like to teach, you know, and I've taught like hitting lessons to 10-year-olds or, you know, pitching lessons for baseball or stuff like that. But being in charge of like a child's development, you know, and I say child, but they're 14, 15 years old. You know, I mean, I think that's important, and we all have teachers that have made a lasting impact on our lives, and I'm sure that you want to be one of those, you know, to at least one of your students. The one thing I noticed about when I was coaching baseball a few years ago, well, first of all, it's like, what year were you born? And they said like 2007 or 2008. And it's like, hold up. And it must be 2010 now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
2011.
I try not to think about it. Even like with my nieces and nephews, I'm like, wait, you were born in 2007? Like what?
That's insane. And they're almost adults.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
not to be like toddlers born in 2007. So,
Yeah.
but the other thing is too, they would say some of the craziest things. I don't know. They have their own language. Like, what is it like? What is it like dealing with this generation of teenagers? I think it's Gen Alpha at this point. What is that like?
Honestly, I think it's hilarious. I love teaching, so which I didn't think I would enjoy as much as I do. But I kind of like look at them and I'm like, did you really just say that? Or like, what are you saying? And a lot of the times someone will like translate what they're saying and I'll be like, oh, okay. And then I'll like make a little note about it. But yeah, I mean, you kind of just, you never know what's going to happen. And each day is so different from the last, which I really enjoy because you never know what child is going to walk through the door and you're like, whoa, hold up. Like, or like, seriously, like, what was your thought process? The biggest thing is they'll be like, Miss, I saw this on TikTok. And I'll be like, we cannot trust TikTok with everything.
You get a little nervous when they say that?
Yeah. Yeah. Because you don't know. You really don't know.
Because you don't know what's going to follow that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But love that they're asking questions, right? I guess they're on the
Yeah.
science TikTok of things. I forget. It's Science Talk. I don't know. I'm not on
Sure.
TikTok, so. But it's enjoyable.
Any memorable stories? Every teacher's got them. I don't know if you've gathered any crucial ones so far.
I did receive a drawing of me in a dress as a monkey, holding a pink tumbler, and like a thought process of being like, I have a cat named Gilbert and my favorite color is pink. So, yeah.
Is this an extra credit assignment?
No,
That's what it sounds like.
The child drew it on the back of their homework, and then gave it to me. So it's hanging up in my classroom. So, I enjoy it. It cracks me up every single time I see it. So, yeah. I will say
man.
we also got like teacher appreciation notes not too long ago. And
nice.
the ones that I received, I hung up on my board. And some of them were like, I might not smile much, but like, I really enjoy your class. And I really enjoy like getting to know you, or like, thank you so much. Like you make science like easy to understand. So like those stories or those like notes were really meaningful. Like,
Yeah.
I've only been teaching for X amount of months and I'm like, oh wow, I've already made an impact, right? So yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
What's it like on the other end? What's it like having to dish out poor remarks or make criticism that's digestible, and has that taught you anything about, where you can apply that in other things in your interactions with people?
Yeah, I mean, I think open communication with whoever you're talking about is really important. I think the biggest thing is doing like, they're doing really well in this, or you're doing really well in class, or something positive. And then you're like, but we can work on this. It's never like hard where you're like, you're doing awful in this, right? It's like, we can work on this, right? It's the whole reason for school is challenging them, and maybe they're not living up to whatever they need to, but just being there to support. So, yeah.
Yeah. I do want to go back. There was one thing that you said about you being in high school and having all these different kind of groups that you were involved in, right? Chorus and, you know, athletics and recycling and like that kind of environmental stuff. And I mean, I just wrote a blog post about some things that I've been internally struggling with, and it's called I have this idea of the modern Renaissance man or the modern Renaissance woman in your mind. You probably identify yourself, bunch of different groups, bunch of different things, kind of have master of none, jack of all trades kind of deal. But the three things that really stuck out in my mind that, that people don't really think about are you kind of lack this sense of what's my purpose, like what's my direct calling. So it's like that lack of specialization. Sometimes that also leads to making life choices harder because you don't have so many different options of where you can go or what you can do. It kind of projects itself out, and like I know this isn't going to necessarily be a bad decision, but is it going to be the decision I want? And then also just not being able to find your group. And I've had a friend who is like, I'm trying to get in the gym more, and I want to find people that are in my friends like in that group, but I also don't want to be. I'm not a gym rat, and I'm like not living in the gym, so that's not going to be my thing. Or I want to get into running, but I'm not going to go run a marathon. So I mean, these are some of the things that I've thought about before. I don't know if you think about that stuff at all, or you've ever had any of those internal struggles.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty hard in any transition, right? After college, going into college, trying to figure out what you're going to do next after college, right? Whether it be more school or job or what have you. I think the biggest challenge for me was being like, okay, I have a job. I'm exhausted from my job. How do I make friends? Like
Yeah.
post college, right? Because college, you're like kind of independent, but it's really easy to make friends in a way because you're like living together. I mean, we met by me
Yeah.
talking to John in the bathroom and me like you brushing your teeth. Like
Yeah. Exactly.
so like you're put into like these confined areas with all of the
Yeah.
people of the same age. And you're all kind of going through the same struggles, right?
Shared experiences and struggles. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think the hardest part was finding like or trying to find, which I'm still trying to do. So if you have any advice, that would be great. Is like finding a community of belonging, right? Which is kind of what at the end of the day humans are meant to do. I have like a few friends, but primarily I hang out with my husband. Like,
Yeah.
and my friends that I am close with or closest with, they don't live in the same state as me. So, just trying to like see them and stay connected, but also trying to like expand my friend group and find my people closer that I can see regularly.
Yeah. That's the toughest thing. I mean, I know I probably have 4 or 5 friends where it's like no matter what we're doing, we always have stuff to talk about. We always have stuff to hang out and we can just kind of spend time together. But I have to fill my time now with a bunch of, I don't want to say like micro friends, but like people that you're very connected with, but just in a certain thing. And, sometimes it's not going to go beyond that. Sometimes, you bring somebody in your life or different aspects of your life that are a little bit more, but it might just be, for me, it's like I got a group of people that I go play music with, and we're not really hanging outside of that. We're not really doing much, but like I go and see my music friends, or then I go play baseball, and the guys that are on my team, I mean, great people and everything, but I might not really hang out with them outside of that context. So, I mean, you're right. That is the hardest thing, is finding those people Where at least in college, you have a lot of the overlapping, right? You're doing the same stuff, and it's like very detailed layers, right? But those things that you're not forced to do anymore, they get shed off really quickly. And so you kind of only have these single overlap opportunities. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not easy making friends after college.
No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not.
You
Especially
got
when
Gilbert, you got Gilbert
and Phyllis. Yeah.
Phyllis. I was gonna say Ethel. Whoops.
Ew, not Ethel. Not
It's
Ethel.
an old lady name. What do you mean?
I
Like,
mean, definitely could have been an option. I think it was on the list, but no. She was supposed to be a boy, so her name was supposed to be Phyllis or Phil. And then we brought her to the vet, and they were like, "She's a female." So, so that's why her name is Phyllis.
rolling with the punches, Hannah. Rolling with the punches.
Exactly, exactly.
Look at you adapting to new discoveries.
I know, I know. Who am I? Who am I?
Were you
don't
saying
know.
something before I cut you off there?
I don't even know.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right. There's plenty of other stuff going on in your life to talk about. I mean, again, out of most of the people that I've known since graduating college, almost 3 years ago, by the way,
That's crazy.
which is absurd.
That's
I mean,
insane.
in the last couple years, this might even be in the last year alone, you've finished your master's, you've gotten married, you and John bought a house, now you're putting on an addition, right? Tons of stuff going on at the same time.
Yeah.
What has this feeling been like, having all this stuff going on at the same time? How do you float it, both literally, and then also just mentally? How are you going through all these changes at once?
Therapy.
Okay.
A strong advocate of therapy. It's kind of like an oil change.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Where you get your oil change for your car, right, every few miles. Even if you don't have anything to talk about, like that's detrimental, like, I don't know, you can just kind of speak your mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of been a whirlwind. After college, I moved down to Maryland, like within 2 months. And then 2 months later, we got a realtor, and they reached out to us saying that they had a house for sale off market. So we purchased it, and we've owned it for almost 3 years now. Yeah, we purchased it when we were 22, which is crazy.
Damn.
And yeah, so graduated with my master's in May. Still trying to wrap up my publication. It's a very long process. So I have some edits that I need to make, and then hopefully I'll send it out to the publisher and get some more reviews back. So trying to juggle that with a new job. I had a summer gig too, so it's very busy in the summer. Switched, I think I had like 3 days off, and then I had started working teaching. And then I got married like the second week of school. Left my students for like 5 days. And so that was a lot, I will say, because I was like, I'm new to this. My students barely know me. I don't know how to write lesson plans for a sub. So that was something. But yeah, so now I feel settled in our house. We did some work on it. Nothing huge. And then now that the snow is starting to melt, we're going to try to get a contractor in here to see whether we should put a basement on or an addition on the back. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I wouldn't be able to handle this without John. So he kind of deals with all the house stuff in regards to like the fixing of things. So it'll be interesting. We'll kind of see how it goes, but yeah.
Out of all these things going on, what has felt like the biggest or most drastic shift that you've had?
The biggest thing I would say was moving in with John. It's not it's not an easy thing. You think it's pretty simple, right? You kind of go from a roommate, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, trying to balance this like relationship, but you're also like having to do like house things, and you're trying to do work, and you're tired and all this stuff, right? So
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest thing, is kind of like trying to navigate how to do that. And yeah, I think communicating like, oh, I'm exhausted right now, I can't do this, or I'm overstimulated right now, like I need to walk away, like I know you want to hang out, but I need to like need 10 minutes to myself for a hot second.
Yeah.
Or like I've listened to kids like call my name out like for the past 7 hours, like I need to go not hear my name.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that was like the biggest shift, for me at least. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you always seem like you've had no problem with clear communication. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, I think anyone that has met me or knows me,
Or
yeah.
hold on, or within the same I didn't even know you yet. I hear you yell down the hall talking about the freaking shampoo that I was using. Okay, I hadn't talked to you once. I did not know you. We lived on opposite ends of the hall in the dorm, and I mean that was our first interaction. You just
Wasn't it like a 4-in-1 like shampoo or something? It was like one of those kid shampoos where it's like, you can use this shampoo for anything. Like, you got hair, you got eyebrows, let's clean them. Like,
right, it was, but I mean, maybe you wait until we're at a closer setting. Hey, what are you using the 4-in-1 shampoo? I don't know, but everybody in the hall heard it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You were very clear and open, and you spoke your mind, and you made your communication established early on.
yeah. I mean, I don't have an issue. Like, if I feel comfortable, I guess, I don't really have an issue speaking my mind. I have learned that there are times to filter. Sometimes the filter, my inside thoughts do come outside. But I think that's just human nature. But yeah, I don't think, especially with therapy, I've learned better ways to communicate without coming off aggressive. So, because I think I can be very intense at times. So,
I think too, I'm somebody that I'm for the most part pretty direct. I appreciate direct responses in return. And sometimes it's just like, emotions aside, like I want you to say what it is and I'm going to tell you what it is. And sometimes I don't think about like how it affects the other people. But then it also, for some people who don't think that way, it can come off as very stark
abrupt,
and abrupt, and they're like, what is wrong with this person?
Which I feel like was probably your initial thought of like, what is wrong?
I mean, I think there was it was so straightforward from such an early on. There wasn't even like a, hi, my name is Hannah, how are you? This was just like I don't even know your name, but I'm going to comment on the shampoo you're using.
Yeah.
Which, again, I knew who you were right from the beginning.
It worked. We became friends.
And what I will say, it's a great filtration system. So if you are always just your authentic self, whether you're trying to find friends, whether you're trying to find a partner, whatever it is, you will know if those same people are in your life a year later and you've just been your authentic self, guess what? They're your true friends. They're really supposed to be in your life.
Exactly. And I don't know, even like you randomly texted me on Friday. I was leaving work and you texted me. You were like, hey, do you want to be on the podcast? And I was like, I don't care. Sure.
You said yes.
I think there's a period at the end.
There was. But then I realized that you were driving or something. But I was like, okay, yes. Yeah, we hadn't spoken in quite a bit, but it was just yes.
I was like, yeah.
You didn't even ask. You didn't even ask. Oh wait, you have a podcast? Wait, what is this? Oh my, like no questions, just yes.
I mean,
Directness.
at the end of the day, like if we had been friends for like a good time, but life happens, right? I'm really bad at like keeping up with people that I don't see directly all the time. And that's just kind of like my personality. It's always been. But like if someone texts me that I was really good friends with or am still really good friends with, I'll be like, sure, let me drop everything. Like, sure. Like I'll do anything at this point. Yeah. So it's fun to find the people that you want to spend time with. I think I struggle with it the most is there's a lot of like surface level conversations and you can't be your true authentic self. Or I talk to my therapist about this a lot. It's just like when I meet someone and I'm talking with them and I don't instantly click, I'm like, I really can't be friends with this because it's more surface level, right? I can talk to them about certain things but not other things. And when I have a friendship, I want to be able to like speak my mind and talk about anything.
Yeah.
Not filter myself. I think the filtering myself is hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And you on the other side too, you don't want your friends to have to feel like they need to hide what they want to share. Whether it's Hannah, you're a freaking nut. You know, you're acting crazy right now, you're acting stupid, whatever it is, you should be able to get that. Not think less of them, not be like, oh my God, you're trying to like come into my life, whatever. I mean, you also have to realize it's a two-way street. Which I think you do. And I'm sure that's a big part of your marriage with John. I want to talk about what it's like being married to John. I mean, great guy. I'm going to make a note. We're going to pull up his highlights. John does dirt biking. We're going to pull up his highlights right now.
Bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a boss. Bitch, I'm a boss. I'm a boss. I play the shots. I call the calls. We in this bitch. It's going down.
Look, I think John he's such an awesome guy. I'm so glad I've been able to meet him. I think I might love him more than you do.
Oh.
I mean, John he is so cool, nonchalant as they come.
Yeah.
But just I feel like everything just shrugs off his back. How is it being married to John?
Well, when I told him I was going to be on this podcast, he goes, "Why was I not invited?" And don't say anything defamatory. And I was like, "Great, cool." Unfortunately, I believe he's still fixing a toilet. Haven't heard from him, so he's just doing the most. Being married to John, I would say, is a blessing in disguise that's chaotic. We are very different in some aspects. I am a clean freak. I like things in a very specific way. And when he comes home from work, it's just like a tornado went off. So I either quietly pick them up or he'll put them away eventually. I think it's fun. I get to hang out with my best friend every single day. I think that's the best part of it. It's like whether I'm having a good day or a bad day, he's there, right? And I don't know, we find different ways to make new experiences with each other. Like I always see these things, it's like the biggest or the number one thing that couples do together is watch TV. And I think that's the saddest thing. I don't like that could make me cry besides the bananas. And I think that's just like who we are is we want to be constantly making new memories with each other. With the big snowstorm, the first day we had to drive like an hour and a half to go get a generator because our generator was down in Florida because he was racing. Yeah. So we drove in a snowstorm to go pick that up. The next day we started a shoveling business, made money shoveling, and it was just hilarious. We were like, why are we out here doing this? But like also made like $650 in like 4 hours.
Damn.
And it was fun. We did it together and getting our workout in at the same time. And then the next day we were like, fuck it. We have so much snow. We're going to go buy skis. And we went like Nordic skiing. I could not do it. So I got snowshoes and we
Like the
went
big
in.
tennis rackets on your feet?
Yes. I felt like a little penguin. And then we like went out in the woods and yeah, I mean, just trying to find different things. He really pulled me out of my comfort zone. I was
Yeah.
one to like not really want to leave my parents' house. I didn't want to leave my comfort zone, and he really supported me like moving down to Maryland, doing the long distance, and he was there for me throughout it all. Yeah, so kind of just like building off of a car just drove down, like backed up the whole road. So that's confusing. But yeah, just kind of like pulling out each other's strengths and weaknesses and finding that balancing act. So
Well, what do you think he would say that you provide for him? You know, you're talking about that he pulls you out of your comfort zone. What do you think is the reverse for that for him?
oh God, you'll have to ask him that. But I think I hold him to a pretty high standard. Just like in everything he does. He'll be like, "Oh, I really want to like do this in my race today," and I'll be like, "You got to get out of your head. Like if you want that, you got to work for it, right? Like you got to go to the gym. You got to go for a run, like run with me, that type of thing." And just like constantly pushing each other to be our bests. Yeah. So yeah, kind of like holding him to the expectations, and he never fails to meet those expectations, but I'm like, okay, but let's get it better. Like,
Damn.
yeah. So
Do you think that's is that like a big benefit of marriage in general? I mean, I think the overall societal change has been shifting marriage later and later, right? But obviously, I mean, you guys got married at 23, 24?
24. Yeah.
24, which is very early for today's standards. Do you think it's things like that kind of make it beneficial in your lives and other people's lives to find somebody and get married so young?
I think if you find the right person, it's 100% worth it. I wouldn't change a single thing. I grew up with siblings getting married straight out of college. So it wasn't like abnormal for my family or for me. And John always said, like, I want to get married young. I want to buy a house. I want to do all those things. And I will say that it has greatly benefited us. We wouldn't have been able to purchase a house separately.
Yeah.
And I think if you have the same goals and your personalities work together and you can figure life out together, it has really helped. I honestly don't know if I would have been able to stay in my master's program without John. So at the end of the day, like, I think if you find someone, like, why not? I think a lot of people like wait. Like, my biggest thing is like, why are we dating for 8 years? If you know, then get married. If not, like, don't waste each other's time.
Yeah.
So.
Was that something that you both set pretty, like pretty early on, that you set, hey, these are my expectations. Like I'm doing this for marriage and I'm not looking to wait.
Yeah. I mean, I think we both had similar outlooks on marriage. And we just didn't see a reason to wait. I knew I didn't want to get married until after our master's program. So we were engaged for 2 years, but here's the devil now. He's pulling in. But yeah, So I think that was a common goal that we knew, and we did have that conversation pretty early on, and I had no idea that he was going to propose while I was still at Wheaton. I thought it was going to be in the summer or later on. So, but
I remember that was a big moment. That was a big day.
oh my gosh,
Do you remember where you were when Hannah got proposed to by John? Almost had to.
I know. Yeah, it was crazy. I had no idea. He gave me money to get my nails done, and I told him to go fuck himself, and I was going to go. I bought earrings with the money he provided, and he was really scared. You want to say hi?
Is that John himself?
It is John himself.
Ooh,
How's it going,
John. Ask
We were
him
just
have that
talking
toilet
about you.
take care of.
All bad things, I'm sure.
How's the toilet?
Fixed.
It's fixed, so
Fixed.
I'm glad.
We're good.
Ask him what his favorite thing about being married to you is.
He wants to know what your favorite thing about being married to me is.
Just how neat and organized she keeps everything.
We did talk about how it was orderly. Oh my gosh!
Oh, the chaos ensues.
It's the chaos because Dad's home now.
Oh man. Let's talk about. I want to talk about the home ownership.
Okay.
What's been the biggest surprise of being a homeowner?
How much stuff there is to keep up with.
Yeah.
I think is the biggest thing. We haven't had to buy any like new appliances or anything, but we put up a fence, and then like we broke the fence because of the big storm. So like having to keep up with that type of stuff. We had a mailbox, and then my dad broke the mailbox, and then we had to get a new mailbox. Luckily, John's handy, so he can fix most things.
Yeah.
But yeah, like unexpected expenses, I would say.
Yeah. What's been the most rewarding part of it though?
Having your own space, getting to
Yeah.
like do whatever to your own space. My favorite part was like being able to like put my stuff up, and also like not having to worry about multiple people walking in my house and making my house dirty. Like, I don't know. It's just John and I really here. So it's pretty easy to keep things clean, which I can't stand when I'm walking around and I'm like touching things on the floor and like my feet are getting like dirt on them. So
I would like to point out the extent of Hannah's desire to be clean and have clean spaces came to the point where she would walk into my roommate's room unannounced and tell us she's cleaning.
oh my God, your room. For like a guy, I guess it was like for two guys, I guess it was like clean.
It wasn't bad.
But I don't think you guys realize how dirty things can build up. And like organization wise, you guys were lacking. But
That is true. Or because I'm now in this 1-bedroom apartment. What are some things that you wouldn't think of that need to be cleaned or organized that I can go do like right after this?
well, like if you have stuff like my coffee table, I have baskets underneath them. A lot of the time people like won't move the stuff to clean around, like they just clean around things, picking those things up. Cleaning the oven, like you cook in that thing a lot, you got to clean it. It's pretty easy to clean too. You kind of just like spray stuff in it and then it cleans itself. The microwave, I cannot stand when there's any ounce of like residue of food inside the microwave. That one's easy to clean as well. And then your bathroom. You have to clean your bathroom every single week. Every single week.
that one gets a little.
It is a
pushed
pain
under
in the
rug.
butt. I hate
Yeah.
cleaning the bathroom. But like residue builds up. It's gross. Yeah.
Any tips to clean the shower? I hate cleaning the shower. I mean, the toilet is one thing. The shower is just a pain.
So I spray it down with the spray foam, whatever you get at the store. And then I have a scrub brush and a sponge and a toothbrush. And I scrub first, then I go over with the sponge, and then I go into like the crevices with the toothbrush. And then I rinse it off, and then I pour bleach in my tub and bleach it so it's nice and white. It takes about 20 minutes. I've gotten it down to a science.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
No.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that as soon as we wrap up. Do you think that adulthood, we kept on talking about kind of this chaos that ensues your life, but do you think adulthood is really just about controlling that chaos?
I don't know if you can really control anything, right? You're kind of just like thrown with the punches, and trying to face them head on, I think, is the biggest thing. Like, I can't control what anybody else does, but I can control how I react. I can control the things that I do. Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, I don't think we can control anything, but like outside, externally, right? We can just control ourselves.
Yeah. Does that kind of thinking help you stay grounded when things seem so out of whack?
Yeah. Realizing that it's just a time, like a moment in time, that this is like shitty or X, Y, and Z, like an inconvenience, right? So you get rear-ended or something, like, that's obviously going to be annoying.
I was going to say,
right?
shout out Meredith.
Tag her in this.
Yeah.
Love to talk about her. You get like rear-ended or something, inconvenience, right? You got to contact your insurance. Your car now has to get fixed. But at the end of the day, your car is going to be fixed, and you're going to get a new, like, your bumper is going to be fixed. And so your initial reaction is to be like, why did you just rear-end me? And what were you doing? But you don't, I mean, maybe they were on their phone, which they can control, but maybe they had a really bad morning or something. So,
Yeah, I just had foot surgery.
why?
Yeah. I just had some problems that
Are
need
you
to be
being
fixed.
dramatic? Oh, actually, I remember your feet. Now that you mention this.
Hannah remembers my feet. So I got the left one fixed. But what I was thinking about is this whole time where it's been like, man, first it was the pain, and now it's just kind of the inconvenience. And now as I'm progressing through, it's like I'm off crutches and I'm walking, but now I have like no leg muscle mass, right? And I'm thinking, oh man, all this. But really what's been guiding me through is just like 6 months from now, none of that's going to matter. It's going to be back to normal, ideally feeling better, right? And it's just going to be something that I went through for a few week stretch, right? It's going to be a pain. It's an inconvenience. It sucks. But it's really out of my control. I mean, it's something I was born with, had to get it fixed at some point. And we just roll with the punches, as you said, you know?
Yeah.
So that's well said, Hannah. Well said. What's Hannah up to in the next 5 or so, maybe 3 to 5 years? What aspirations do you have? You've already knocked so much off the checklist. What else is there for you?
Yeah, I mean, unsure what life will kind of bring, right? We would like to purchase another house. So that's in the punches, hopefully. In the
Like a new
cards.
house and live there?
Yeah, we'll purchase a new house, either keep this one or rent it out, depending on kind of what happens. And then hopefully we'll expand our family. Who knows what's in the cards for that? But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see.
Is there any like larger goal, or are you just not thinking? You're just kind of playing it presently right now. I mean, you had all the big stuff checked off. There's nothing like this is the pinnacle for my life.
Yeah, I mean, we just want to like our next goal is to like pay off all of our debt, and to buy like our forever home. So those are like the two main things that we're really prioritizing and focusing on. And then in the mix, creating those memories that we talked about. So
That's all it's about. That's what it's about,
Exactly.
creating the memories. Well, I appreciate, thanks for sharing the stories. Thanks for sharing your advice. Thanks
course.
for coming on this episode, Hannah.
of course, wouldn't have done anything else my afternoon on a Sunday.
All right. That sounds good. All right. Thanks, Hannah.
Yep.